Welcome back to Dive Twang. I'm Dave. So, a quick follow up today on that lesson from a couple days ago. It's that 1-4-5 progression in A, kind of an upbeat one. It was like, okay. And that sliding triad riff or ideas and mechanics of kind of playing a triad like for each one of those chords, okay? And if you've been practicing that, great. And I know a lot of people have because there's been a lot of comments and a lot of feedback on this. And some of you are looking forward to today's kind of expanding on that a little bit. And I want to get to that, but I don't want to leave anybody out in the cold on, what the triad, what that means and what the notes are and so forth. So if you want to, if you think it'll be better for you, go back and watch that one from a couple of days ago. Okay. Then come back and do this one. If it's your first time and you just want to check it out, this will still make sense. But that is really the groundwork for and the practice routine for what we're going to do today. So, the real quick review on that was we were looking at the root, third, and fifth of each one of these major chords. So each one of these chords, the A, D, and the E, are major in this instance. So A, that's our root, third, and fifth. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, then we're just kind of pasting that up here using the D bass note. Okay, then we did a little bit different maneuver to get to those same notes where we're going. Up or down, or a lot of the examples that we used the other day were just and that kind of gets you up to speed. But like I said, there's a good practice routine that goes with those that would kind of really get you into this. And today we're going to kind of sister that with Major Pentatonic stuff and do a little bit more traveling around the neck. And I think you'll see how that practice is really going to pay off for you if you've been doing that. So, couple of things we're going to add today is the couple of positions of the major scale. Okay, now just so it kind of makes sense with the intro there, you could play the A major scale all over your guitar, right? And that's the sound of it. It's that do, re, mi starting on A, okay? But like I said, in the intro, I deliberately stayed in these two general areas. Okay, so I'm starting on the A, that's the second fret of the G string there. Okay, use your ear. If you can't see, every little thing, spell it out with your ear. Do, re, mi. I will give you this little piece of guidance, though, or framework, is you don't have to move out of this position to do that. And it's handy because you're right there with that A chord. Okay, you don't always have to run all the way up and down. In fact, when you're playing, you don't do that, right? When you're improvising, you don't really run up and down the entire scale, at least not very often. So, get it under your fingers and then, right away start, breaking it into different segments and stopping and starting points and phrasings. Here's some examples of that. Okay, right away I put in a couple little bends. All right. So get dancey with it, get musical with it right away. Um, that rote practicing of just that scale should be just long enough to learn it, get it under your fingers, and let your ear bond with that note sequence, and then go right into making music with it. Right. Use your time wisely like that, because that just practicing that scale, it's not that that's not worthwhile, but you know, it's kind of taking up a lot of your time and effort and mental and emotional energy doing that sometimes, right? And just your physical, the time that you have to practice, and just how much you really feel like doing. So always get right into it. Try to use a backing track or something that you can conceptualize yourself, that you're really thinking of it as a song or a melody, or that you're singing through your guitar. Then the other position is up here. So that first one again was okay. Now this one is not stopping and starting on the roots. It's going to sound slightly different, but I want to use those same three highest strings. Starting and stopping on the fifth of A. If you carry it down, hear how that's the same river of notes? Train your ear. Take the time to do this part very sincerely. It'll pay off, okay? But then see if you can kind of move between those two positions. All right. Then put the track on. And you don't have to play fast just because the track has an upbeat feel. Okay. Make some pretty nice little melodies, and get it going just with that little routine, right? Doesn't have to be super fast. Now, you're maybe thinking, well, what does this have to do with the? Okay, this, what I just showed you. If that feels good to you, and you just want to spend time on that, that would be a great little program. But I do want to, like I said, sister it up with this other concept here, and challenge you to just, here's the next level step on this. And each one of these steps requires time in and of itself to get comfortable with it, right? But when you're ready, get back into that kind of. Now, one thing that I think makes sense about this, just composition wise and sound wise, and to just keep it from, kind of running us into the guardrails, too much at first, is I really left out the D in that. I didn't address the D chord at all, I don't think, in that intro. So I'm letting that D be sort of a passing. Right? I'm really just thinking of this as A and E. So if I start with an A. Now, Pentatonic, I think the first thing I did in that intro was something like that, right? And that comes out of this kind of pattern, which is made up of chaining together, tying together several of those moves like we worked on with that triad move. Okay, so I'll put up a diagram here for this one of this A. All right, and if you started up here, now you see how that's just made up of a bunch of these things that we were working on last time, right? But it's, you can slow them down, use different phrasings, and you can put bends in with a lot of them, in sort of intuitive places, but I want to give you a little bit of a, leg up on that too. So again, playing at a tempo that makes sense, or a speed, even with a higher tempo like this. Something like this. Here's the last little piece of this, okay? So what I just showed you was not something to try to copy that exactly, because, I was kind of, flubbing around there a little bit. But I'm trying to just go at speed, do things real deliberate. Spend time on that. The last little piece of this is that until the end of that, I really stuck with, kind of roots and fifths. We're kind of sliding by the third, but not really starting on it, right? I kind of always started on. I'm going to slow that one down. That's a good little. Here I'm just kind of starting and stopping on the root A a lot, and sometimes E. There at the end, I was moving down to other chord tones. Like here's an example. You hear how those are different? That this one specifically, when I got to that E, wanted to land on the third of E. All right, now here's where you really got some work you can do, is identifying that third in different parts of these positions. So what I'm going to do is the third, root the third or the fifth. So I'm going to keep it slow, and I'm going to use just those chord tones, mostly, but kind of hang out on the fifth and the third a little bit more and see if you can tell where those are and the difference of the sound. analyze this too much, but just that practicing that scale, okay, and is going to set you up for this. And then when you're doing your uh, more A major pentatonic stuff, so a couple times on the A, I went down to this one. Hear those harmonies? Again, don't worry about trying to memorize all this at once. Just watching this lesson a couple times, it's your ear is bonding with those sounds. And the best way to really do this, don't try to do a bunch of fancy licks at first. Just try to, you know, do the major pentatonic scale and some of the sliding. Okay, now I'm not trying to drive you nuts there at the end, but I want you to see that you put these pieces together. You practice them individually, then you start integrating them. You're gonna find those treasures, right? You're gonna find that buried treasure. It's right next door, right? The pentatonic stuff is great, and that's the main way in these rock styles that we travel around in lead guitar playing, or especially in electric style. We roam around those pentatonics and find the good bends. The extra little spice in there is those thirds and fifths, and really, featuring those along with just kind of going back to that root bass line idea over and over, right? But at first, that's what you do. You do that bass line thing over and over, till it's just second nature. But then practicing these scales in a musical manner, like I mentioned, is you're gonna start seeking out. You're gonna even if you accidentally land on that treasure, you're gonna know it when you hit it, and then your mind and your body and your hand, you're gonna go back and work out the details of where to hit that note in that progression. So I know that's a lot. This sounds a little pie in the sky sometimes, with we're talking about something that's abstract here, right? It's not just a do A, do B, you're done, read the tab. It's all, no. I mean, that's good stuff too. But what we're working on here is composition. It's training your musicality along with the mechanics, right? So, let me know how you do with this. Um, got any questions? Email me, leave it in the comments. Appreciate everybody. Talk to you soon.